No, not that one.
Hey, Smag. What? Who's that?
Hey everyone, Desi's here with another video. Today I am going to be rambling about hardcore versions of MMOs. I'm going to be playing my hardcore Beast Lord character that I have, level 4. I'm in Nillipuss Swamp, you know, I'm just running around. I'm going to try not to get myself killed while I talk about these topics, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But anyways, I hope you all are having a fantastic day. It's been a little bit since I posted, but EverQuest is always there in my heart, you know, and I felt the calling to make a video and start talking about it again. So in this video, I want to talk about why playing hardcore is fun. Simply put, it's really fun, and I really encourage you to try it out if you haven't tried playing hardcore in EverQuest or World of Warcraft or, you know, any kind of game. You could play hardcore Minecraft, you could play hardcore anything, pretty much. Whatever you do, it's a self set of rules that you set for yourself. And in this case, for Project Corm specifically, they have the hardcore version built into the server itself. So you can literally hail the Priest of Discord, set up your character to become a hardcore character, and so you're flagged to not be able to group with other people, not be able to receive buffs from other players. You can't buy player-sold items from vendors. You can't do a lot of things. And the biggest part is if you die, your character's deleted. So it is kind of a one-shot, one-play kind of thing. I don't think that's a saying, but I just, you know, my witty banter. So anyways, the first part that I want to talk about regarding why you should play hardcore and why I personally enjoy hardcore. Just as a preface for my own experiences in hardcore, the majority of the experiences I have are in World of Warcraft Classic. I leveled a paladin, a dwarf paladin, to level 43 in hardcore version of World of Warcraft. And I had a very fun time because I will get into it later in the video, but it just really allowed me to explore this game that I was so familiar with in a completely novel way, to where I felt like I was playing a different game and I was looking at it in a way I never looked at it before. So without further ado, I will talk mostly about EverQuest within the context of hardcore. The first part is simply the stakes. The stakes are so much higher when you're playing EverQuest in hardcore mode versus if you're just playing a regular character and, you know, you're finding a group, you're getting XP, you're grinding for some loot or platinum, or getting some buffs from a mob or from other players. I only said mob because I'm attacking this fungus spore right now. But the stakes are so high. It feels like a different kind of game. You're playing the game. See, like this high elf dude, if I walk by him, he'll kick my ass instantly, and my character will be deleted. Although I'm only level 4, that's still a couple hours of playtime, maybe an hour or two. And the gear I've had, I've already grown an attachment to. My netted shirt, my netted sleeves, like these are my items that I earned, you know? You just feel kind of an intimacy with items and with the character itself that you don't necessarily feel to its full extent if you're playing a character not in hardcore mode. And it's kind of hard to explain because it's not like I'm playing a different game. It's not like I'm, you know, I don't know, completely in a different novel experience. I've been in Nillipuss Swamp before. I've been a Beast Lord before. Honestly, I've never been a female troll, so that's kind of a new one for me. So I see my butt crack swiveling around when I'm running. But besides that, you know, it really does feel like a new game, and just being aware of your environment. And the beauty of the design of Classic EverQuest is the fact that the zones are so sporadically and chaotically designed. So there'll be level 1 to 10 mobs in a starting zone, but the developers found it fun to put random like level 35 NPCs like this high elf dude that I've never seen before, just walking around the swamp, who will kill trolls that are starting in this area instantly and just patrolling around. I don't know the path of this specific NPC, so I'm gonna have to keep my eye out if I want to really, be on top of things and not randomly instantly get killed. And another thing that I'm limiting myself in while playing this character is the UI. I am not allowing myself to use a map with the Zeal plugin because I think maps really make the game feel smaller, and it makes the immersion a lot less satisfying because when you have the map up, you see that the zone is a rectangle. You see where the specific landmarks are. You see where the zone lines are. You see where specific NPCs spawn. It really takes the fun out of exploration. And so right now, I have a general sense of where Grob, like the entrance to the troll city, is. I think it's over here. I think it's west. I at least have a compass that is not super accurate, but it kind of helps guide me in a way. So I have to really keep visual track and acuity of, okay, this is this stream. I have to know like what segments there are, if there's high level mobs. And I also turned off the target rings with the Zeal plugin while specifically playing this character because I think it's important to not only click the mob, but it feels more immersive to consider the mob, see what color it is first. I think the target rings are very convenient for group play and everything, but I don't think they're necessary, and I think they sometimes can take the immersion out of the game. And I think it's something I've become extremely accustomed to from playing on live EverQuest. But I think not having a target ring, and they have this on Project 1999 of not having a target ring as well, I think it does add kind of a nice touch to the experience. And that's just a personal thing. I don't think it necessarily correlates with a lot of people. Maybe it does, who knows. If you feel a similar way in that sense, I'd love to hear your take in the comments, or specific things that you tweak about your UI to feel more immersed, or even to make it more difficult for yourself, because I think setting challenges within an already difficult game makes the rewards feel so much better. Like every mob I kill, it feels like a nice reward, no matter what the experience is, or if I get armor or not. Getting this cloth armor that I have so far, getting this splintering club, really adds, like, it has a nice reward that you can't really explain by like twinking out your character with like the best gear right away. You really kind of lose that feeling of being in danger, and I think that's important for me, at least in my playstyle, and finding enjoyment in a game that's really old and finding novelty in it. So the next thing I kind of touched on already that I want to talk about are simply exploring areas that you really haven't had the desire or necessity to explore before. I think we're all very, very familiar with most of the zones in EverQuest. I know for me, there's still many zones that I don't know very well or have barely even been to. And so there's still a lot of room for me personally to explore areas besides just playing the hardcore experience. But I think when you are in hardcore mode, I think that you look at zones differently. You look at mobs differently. You look at NPCs differently. And you just become very aware of the environment around you, and maybe you potentially look at it in a way you never looked at it before. Maybe you look at these zones in a little bit of a more threatening manner because you see the dangers a lot more clearly. You see how you could easily become overwhelmed in combat, or where you could get ads, or knowing specifically where the guards are so they can assist you. Oh yeah, you can't loot mobs that are killed by other players. And I think this is something that we've all already become accustomed to in EverQuest. We all have the basics down of survival and using guards to our advantage to kill mobs that are potentially kicking our asses, or just knowing where specific higher level mobs zone or spawn, or where other potential mobs or placeholders could spawn that could be very powerful, that could one-shot a level 4 mob in a starting zone. Hint hint, like hill giants, and also nudge nudge, the skeleton like bard that spawns in Everfrost Peaks that's like level 10, that just kind of walks around and just murders low level barbarians. But for this in hardcore, you really have to be considerate about these things to an even higher degree, which makes the immersion of the game even more powerful in my opinion. And kind of adding on to this point of taking your, oh god, KOS human. Oh my gosh, see, just little shit like that. But anyways, adding on to simply exploring areas that you might have not explored before, I think hardcore simply forces you to take things slow. And it's kind of the proverbial smelling of the roses of playing this video game. You kind of have to be more mindful about your actions in the game and project into the future certain consequences that could result in the decisions that you make right now. And I think, like I said, these are things that we always consider when we play EverQuest for the most part, but they're a lot more muted because of the lack of, I think, stakes and consequences. I think corpse runs and losing experience are stakes enough, but I think having to delete your character is like a completely different level of that, which really shifts your psychology of how you perceive the game and just simply how you play it. And I can see that you could really recognize things in yourself that you might have not recognized before in your playstyle. Maybe you become super cautious, super fearful. Maybe you isolate yourself in very far-reaching corners of the zones, or just stick into corners and walls and just kind of minding your own business. I think it's really interesting to see how your playstyle evolves to the added threat of playing in hardcore mode. And honestly, I find it just fascinating, and I find just how we view the game in one way and how we view it in another by changing the rule sets, and how that shifts how we play and interact with the world itself virtually is really, really interesting. And I'd love to hear your opinions of it as well. If you've played hardcore, if you've been thinking about it, I am thinking of maybe doing a leveling series, but honestly, I recorded an episode and it just doesn't feel very entertaining. And I think just kind of talking about it, for me personally, is more fulfilling while making videos. So I'm probably just going to stick to commentary regarding hardcore. And maybe if I stick to this character, I will highlight certain sequences in my journey or specific areas along the path. But another thing I want to talk about, kind of relating to taking it slow and becoming extra immersed and cautious, is your attachment to your character and the gravity of losing it. I mean, we're all humans here. We're all living our lives personally, professionally, you know, just within our own specific cultures that we grew up in. We all have things that we don't want to lose, and we all know that inevitably we will lose them because that's just the way that life goes. We can hold something and appreciate it for the time that we have it, but we know that we have to let it go. And I think playing hardcore really forces you to kind of face that concept, even if it's through a virtual video game where the stakes, you know, you're not dying in real life, you're not, I don't know, going bankrupt or anything, but you do grow an attachment to your character as you play it and progress it, and you see the journey a lot more clearly, in my opinion, from my experience playing Hardcore Classic. You see how certain events transpired, certain close calls. I think they pronounce themselves a lot more clearly. Oops, my mouse is glitched. It always does this. How clearly we view the stories of our characters, and we can view the narratives of them a lot clearer because I think we're a lot more in tune with the character when we play on hardcore mode. And because of the stakes being so high, we have a lot more focus while we're in the world, and we pay more attention to specific things and maybe smaller things that we potentially wouldn't have been aware of if we were playing in a non-hardcore version. And I think inevitably your character's gonna die, and you have to come to terms with the fact that you're gonna lose this character no matter what, and that you have to accept that and go through the stages of grief, even if they're through EverQuest. So anyways, kind of moving on from that point as well, and just kind of recapturing what I was talking about with exploring and going through zones and finding novelty in something that you thought was completely familiar, is that familiarity that you've become such a tuned to throughout the 25 years of this video game being out, if you've played it for that long, is that you can recognize that you can create something completely different out of something that's so familiar. And I think that's kind of the thesis of what I really want to capture in this video, talking about the hardcore experience and how that can relate to life in general. How we can view things that otherwise we'd view as a mundane fact of life, or something that seems to be repetitive, or something we are so accustomed to that we possibly couldn't find a way to consume this or look at it in a way that we've never looked at it before. But playing hardcore, especially with specific characters and classes and races that we've maybe not been too attuned to in the past of playing, can completely change the way you view the game and can make it feel like almost a new game in the way that you perceive it and play it and participate within it. And I think that is just amazing, because it really conveys that really there can be the same things in front of us, but the way we view it and the way we consume it really, and just look at it, can be completely shifted through our own internal changes of how we view something. And I think that's just a beautiful thing of life. And if I'm able to kind of experience that and convey it in certain terms through EverQuest, then I think that is awesome. And kind of lastly, my last point that I wanted to talk about in this video is just the challenge. Playing hardcore EverQuest, playing just EverQuest on its own is hard enough. It's a very difficult game to play. There's a lot of mechanics. There's a lot of just simple tidbits of knowledge that you just kind of have to learn as you play it. And you have to just kind of remember these things and know certain paths and certain outcomes and where gear drops and how slow the experience is and how tedious and sometimes oftentimes monotonous the gameplay is. But also to, just push that to another level, because I think it can turn the monotony of just grinding in a group. The difficulty of that is difficult because it requires patience and endurance and challenge in the scope of maybe getting too many ads and needing to crowd control, or you're running out of mana. It's definitely a resource management kind of game, but I think hardcore really it has those layers and mechanics because it's the same video game mechanically, but you kind of have to juggle different components, like just simple survival, just knowing your positioning, and it takes everything that's already difficult about EverQuest, but it challenges it even further. And I think that is always a fun thing to do, because it kind of just, more neuroplasticity for kind of encountering new things and learning new mechanics, and something that's already, so it's been there for so long, So anyways, that's kind of my ramble for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you give hardcore a try if you haven't already. If you're playing on the Project Quorum server, you can literally just make a level 1 character, hail the Priest of Discord, and it's literally built into the game. So I think that's really cool that Secrets and the team implemented that just straight up into the game itself. But you can really play hardcore in any game that you really desire to play it in. You just have to kind of set that personal decision and rule set with yourself that if I die in this video game, I have to stop this character and reset or play something else, It's pretty much a self-directed playstyle. Just because there are specific rule sets in Quorum that mechanically hinder you from not participating in the hardcore version, you can still play any version of EverQuest and play within the hardcore rule set as long as you follow it, as long as you follow through with your own playstyle. That portion of it's kind of up to your own integrity, but I really do encourage it. My EverQuest hardcore journey is very young, but just playing hardcore World of Warcraft, it really made the MMO experience a lot more memorable, and it made me have to do things that I never really did before. And a big thing about that was trade skills and professions, making gear for myself. You can't really buy gear from the auction house or anything when you're playing solo self-found hardcore. So you really have to be self-preserving, and you have to kind of create stuff for yourself. And I think that just makes the game feel even more immersive, and I think it makes it feel even more a sense of attachment to the gear that you've procured for yourself. Just simply the fact that you created it, or you remember exactly where each piece of gear came from. I think that is, it's just awesome. And yep, I got this one from a rat, I got this one from a snake, I got this one from a beetle. Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't remember where I got that stuff. But you see my point. So anyways, I'm going to end the video there. Again, I really hope you're all having a fantastic day and just a nice week. And I hope you're having fun in EverQuest if you're playing it. And if not, I hope you enjoyed the video just kind of talking about EverQuest. If you like videos like this, I'd really appreciate it if you liked the video. And if you're not subscribed, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I make EverQuest content like this. I like to ramble about MMOs, and I am working on a video essay kind of talking about MMOs and how they alter our perception of ourselves and kind of within a societal lens, and it's something I'm just very interested in, and I'd love to kind of share more of my thoughts to everyone. So anyways, oh god, it looks like they're running at me. Anyways, take care everyone. Peace.